All right.
I said I did. It didn't start. Why is it not starting?
A Chinese rocket will come crashing to Earth this weekend. The NFL trying to better its off-field performance. And Congressman Michael Cloud joins us in studio. All that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
I mean, just nailed it on a Friday. You already got us on there?
Yep.
I didn't make the thumbnail?
Huh. Building an audience.
That's where I want to be, right there.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you,
I
sir.
want to put those on so you can hear.
I can hear you. I'm standing right here.
How are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you.
Let's do this. Okay, maybe there it is.
Last Wade and Carter weather of the week brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed. Wow, 63 degrees in Victoria. It says it's hazy. I don't see any haze out there.
Yeah, a little bit coming in. Starting to burn off as the sun rises over the eastern horizon.
You're very reflective today, aren't you? Oh, that's what it comes from babysitting your grandkid all night. Yeah. Okay, you got no sleep. 63 heading to a high of 86 under beautiful sunny skies. That weather is brought to you every day by the great folks at Deerland Feed. In fact, I encourage you this weekend, like, hey, honey, you want to do something? Well, what? We can't go to Veracruz. Well, let's go to Deerland Feed. Drive down there, check it out. It's fun. It's a fun place to go.
You probably still get some tomatoes.
Yeah.
I had a cool tomato story for you. And I don't know the young lady's name, but a guy I went to high school with, Doug Zumwalt. His daughter.
Zummy?
Yeah.
Zumi.
Zumwalt.
What'd y'all call him?
Doug.
Folks, Ash will be making the jokes all day today.
Anyway.
Like in sports, a text will be like, Zummy, let's go Zumbe. Come on, Zumbo. Let's go Zummy. Right? No, Canadians, Doug.
Yeah,
hit the ball, Doug.
Same.
Hit the ball, Doug.
But his daughter's 13 years old. And earlier this spring, planted a bunch of tomato seeds. I mean, we're talking dozens of tomato plants.
Right.
And now they're sprouting. They're about a foot high now, all in pots. And she took them all around the neighborhood with a little note on them saying, I grew this, and I know COVID's got everybody down. I'm paraphrasing here, but I hope this tomato plant brings you joy and is fruitful for you for the summer.
That's nice.
13-year-old kid just on her own. Dozens of tomato plants.
Nice.
She started from seed, nursed them to about a foot high, and then took them all around the neighborhood.
Maybe
Gave to all the neighbors. It's pretty cool.
Maybe that explains the marijuana bloom I found on my front porch. Somebody planted a few seeds during COVID in their grow room, and the next thing you know, I hope this plant provides you. Use it as oregano. Just use it as you would cilantro and enjoy your salad. Scott Tomko, good morning. Roy Gutierrez. Say it, Ash.
Roy Gutierrez, he came in. He was on YouTube yesterday. Now he comes over here.
There's no R in Gutierrez.
Jeremy Pena, good morning. Marvin Mickish. Judge Posey, good morning.
You can't roll your R's. You ain't getting elected.
J. Mark Jameson.
You ain't getting elected. You can't roll your R's. I mean, I can, and I can't get elected.
No.
Hi, Judge Posey.
Bobby Leister says, dodge the mosquitoes. I haven't seen too many yet, but they're there. I know a lot of people complaining about them.
I tell you what, we went out to Ganado. We might as well tell you right now, Texas Coast Limo, Bob Constantine. That's 575 Limo. 575 Limo. Bob Constantine picked up the Bad News Bears, the GSM Bad News Bears, in his party bus. Many of the boys asked, why is that pole in the middle of the aisle? I don't know. Is it holding the roof up? It's holding the roof up.
That's all it's doing.
But we drove on the party bus over to Ganado for a hard-fought minor league battle. And Texas Coast Limo is just, first class. We got everybody in. Bob drove us over. AC, music. Couldn't hear the music. Kids were screaming the whole way, like they'd never been in a car.
Probably never been on a party bus.
It was the wheels on the bus going, you know.
And the next time they're on a party bus, it'll be a different experience.
Yeah, exactly. Great time. There's Tracy Price checking in. She was on the bus with Dawn and me. Her son Luke did a nice job last night on the bump.
Patrick Strauss, good morning. Mark Kurtz checking in. Jeremy Pena says he's got 4 more hours till he's home. 20-hour drive so far. Drive it home safe.
What is it? 6 days on the road, and I'm going to make it home tonight.
H.R. Mallory, Torrin Bales, Andy Ria Jr., Christina Wise, good morning. Scott Snow's in. Bobby Leister says the Leisterometer is holding steady at 1,003 YouTubers.
1,000, not 100.
Amanda Smith King, Robin Moore Knipling, Lisa Poole, Jim Simpson,
Hi,
Justin
Jimmy.
Glass, Karen Lee Webb.
That's Jimmy Three Cheese.
Chris Conrad, good morning. Jeff Fonseca, Kendra Douglas, Natalie Mayer, Michelle Wilson Hawkins. Don Nicole asked the true. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I did nothing for National Day of Prayer yesterday. So
did anybody do
we're the
anything
same
for?
boat.
But usually the president goes and does. What does he usually do? I mean, I'm not being silly. He goes somewhere usually. I'm making this up. Like
Church.
the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. So that's what you know.
I don't know. Yeah. BJ Nelson says an illegal bailout right now in Quail Creek. This is insane. There was one yesterday
Get your
too.
guns.
There was one, I think, over by Tipton's.
Yeah, there was one by the loop somewhere too.
And then they ended up, there was there. And then Jackson County had to get involved and grab the other vehicle that was involved. But I think there were 9 people in the one that bailed. And then they stopped the other one in Jackson County and apprehended 2 folks.
She said there was an illegal bailout. I said, what bank is over there?
Greg Garcia, good morning. Lorena Bargenbrook, checking in. James Kurth, Adam Sugart, Sheriff Louderback, Daniel White, good morning.
Very interesting. Here's an article that I was sent. It says Biden becomes.
Natalie Mayer says in 70 years, the White House never missed it till yesterday.
Okay, so Natalie, thank you for passing it along. And I'll say here, Biden becomes first president to omit God from National Day of Prayer proclamation.
How hard is it to be more inclusive and just include everybody you would pray to? I mean, what are you talking?
Dude, nobody pray. I mean, somebody's got to pray to. They've got to be praying to a God.
Buddha. Yeah, I mean, God doesn't. I mean, God can be whatever God you pray to, right?
Well, I guess if you're trying to, it's a naysayer Friday where Ash takes the ignorant position.
No, if you're trying to be inclusive, how is God exclusive?
I don't know. Would you pray to Buddha? The last thing I need is a 400-pound Chinese guy telling me to be, moderate, use moderation. Right? I mean, think about it. You got a big old fat Chinese guy going, live in moderation. Bring me some more poi. He talked about the power of prayer and invited Americans to give thanks, although he never mentioned the word God.
Give thanks. Wrong holiday, buddy. Wrong holiday. That's
why.
November, 4th Thursday.
You don't see what that really is. I'll tell you what it really is. Religion is an opiate of the people. That's an old Russian statement from your background. Joe Biden wants you to have a National Day of Prayer for the government.
Yeah, no, that's exactly
for the government.
That's exactly
folks.
where it's
that's
going.
What that is. I mean,
that's the leftist agenda on full
absolutely.
display.
That's the power of prayer.
That's
pray for our leaders, but don't pray to God. Don't pray to a supreme being. Just pray for us and send money.
Give thanks.
Give thanks. Give thanks for Joe Biden and Kamala.
Give thanks for your stimulus check.
By the way, don't know if you've noticed, Ash, you don't get bogged down in this. Kamala Harris, you ain't heard nothing out of her.
Nothing.
That's
why I can't get bogged down when nothing's happening.
These people are not real. I'm telling you. You're watching a movie, people. You think I'm crazy. You're watching a movie. It's going to come out. Ted Cruz put on his Twitter the other day, had a wonderful dinner with President Trump. He was at Mar-a-Lago. They didn't even like each other 6 months ago, but they've united against a common enemy called communism.
Marxism. No, they didn't like each other 5 years ago because that was politics. What's the old saying? Politics makes strange bedfellows.
Part of it is because Ted is infinitely smarter than Donald Trump, but he just doesn't express it as well as the Donald. Gonna have Michael Cloud in studio. Big deal now, folks. That's a big deal for us. We love having our congressman in. We had him in before he was a congressman. We like him.
I'll probably have him in when he's no longer a congressman.
Right.
Senator.
And when he's no longer president. When he's president. After his terms, he can only serve 8. So somewhere around 2046, we'll have Michael Cloud in when he's just, well, I'm just a common citizen. There's black helicopters flying outside our windows and stuff.
At that point, it'll be the Wade and Caleb show.
No, I'll kill you by then.
You'll be long gone.
It'll be the Wade Memorial Show.
The Iceman is in. Richard King, good morning.
What did BJ say?
I don't want it to happen over and over. I'm tired of this.
Oh, she's talking about her love life with Scott, I guess. BJ, did you mean to type that to us, or was that a text for Scott?
Byron Burris, good morning.
I think she meant to send that to Scott. Just stop it, okay?
Maybe so.
No, I think what she's talking about is all these illegal bailouts in our community.
Joyce DeLeon, good morning.
Ricky King says Quail Creek is where they got the 9 people.
Okay. I had it wrong then.
Yeah, BJ Nelson, do you remember, folks? This is important, Ash. This matters. You've got to get a hold of this. Joe Biden ran. Do you recall Joe Biden ran as a strong Catholic? Donald Trump showed many signs of faith, never ran as like the conservative Christian.
No, and any time he went to a church, it was just that
It was a photo op anytime he went to a church. Remember, Joe Biden ran as I'm a strong Christian, I'm a strong Catholic.
Joe Biden practices what I call selective Catholicism.
Absolutely.
When it benefits him, he's a Catholic. When it doesn't, he runs away from it as quickly as he can. Abortion issue.
Well, because 90% of his constituency
isn't Catholic.
Yeah. And they don't care about the issues that involve the church.
Chris Conrad says Biden's not as strong as anything. I would argue that he's a strong case for dementia.
Oh, there's no doubt. That guy's brain dead. Yeah. He really is. Just when he walks, and if you watch him, if he's going somewhere, about every 4th or 5th step, his brain says, break into a pro trot. Trot about 3 steps, because he's just trying to look so youthful and spunky and full of energy. It's just the biggest joke. You people have been fed a big sham, a joke of a president.
James Kerr says when he was on the USS Enterprise, they alternated the chaplains every night, different denomination every night. Matt Boucher, good morning. Daniel Bird checking in. Ryan Hopping.
That's really good stuff. That's nice that they do that.
Roy Gutierrez says only when his handlers remind him or when he sees it on his cue cards. That's when he's a Catholic. Absolutely.
It's got to be interesting when you're in the Middle East on a aircraft carrier, 5,000 other men, and the imam starts whipping out the Muslim prayer. Interesting stuff. Oh, Daniel Bird says Biden practices touch-a-kidism.
Yeah, sniff-a-hairism.
Right?
Weird.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned as we have Bill Gates and the Plandemics coming back with Defund the Police, their new album. That'll be out soon.
Speaking out soon, Allen's Record Service will have you out of the ditch in a jiffy.
Right?
578-6300 is the number to call if you need. I saw a car in a ditch, a little SUV yesterday going home on Northside Drive, just on the north side of town in a place that I've never seen anything in the ditch other than some plastic bags and a few diapers.
Maybe a mattress.
No, it's not wide enough for a mattress. I don't know how this car got in there. But I came upon it before any record was there. I was like, the law enforcement had just gotten there. So, but I'm sure Allen's would have been called.
Absolutely.
Because it was a muddy, boggy mess. And I don't know that there's anybody else that I would trust to get me out of that muddy, boggy mess more than Allen's. 578-6300.
On a steel gray Pittsburgh morning. 578-6300. Allen's Record Service, the VCS companies, of course, our banner sponsors.
Absolutely.
If you listened during the last waning moments, expectantly hoping for Wade and Carter to come on, you heard us talk to Bill Posey about the great folks at Compadres Design that do our banners, do our swag. They did this shirt. Then you throw in that the VCS companies and Rocket Oilfield Services and the locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communication empire. They are our banner sponsor. And They were selected as such. We don't do a best of the best based on advertisers, but they
are the best.
They are the best of the best when it comes to customer service, taking care of you and your family and your stuff.
Chesnick Furniture Company, speaking of stuff.
More stuff.
All the stuff you need to be comfortable while your communications and electronics works flawlessly. That's where Chesnick steps into the picture.
Absolutely. Since, 101 years ago, since 1920. 116 West Juan Lynn, corner Juan Lynn and Bridge. They've been there for 70 years.
71.
Go by and see Bobby Leon and his family. There you go. Jeff Fonseca says Bill Gates and the Plandemics will be the new Frampton Comes Alive.
Absolutely. No, I'm thinking more Eddie Murphy when Buckwheat sang the hits on Saturday Night Live.
Nice.
That's more or less where we're going with it.
Today's your last day of the week to get to Veracruz. Please try to get to Veracruz today. If you don't, Saturday will drag by. Sunday will linger on before you can go on Monday. Today's a great day for a fantastic Tex-Mex meal. They call it, what do they call it? Jalisco style.
Jalisco style.
Come on, man.
I just feel like good.
Get in there and get it.
Yeah. Today, because you won't get it tomorrow. You'll have to wait till Monday, and it'll be just be a bad weekend.
Adam Sugar says, only the classiest people listen to this show. How does it feel to be the Wiener Schnitzel of political radio? He says, I'm not hating. I'll take 2 chili cheese dogs.
Is that us?
Yeah,
the chili cheese dogs? Andrew King says, pray for a VCSO currently working the bailout near Aloe School.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. I'm not being.
Do they lock down the school at that point?
That's what I'm saying. So if those people are within range of a school, see, the problem is.
I hope they find a weapon if they're in that gun-free zone.
A lot of those
Trump
folks
those charges up.
Are victims, and here they are. They're in a strange country. They've heard nothing. They've never heard anything good about Popo.
Well, the Popo where they come from probably isn't any good.
So they're going to jump out. The car gets stopped. They're all going to jump out and run. Well,
that's what they're told to do.
I don't blame them for running. I don't. I mean, it is a true bless their hearts situation. I don't know what you do, but I do know this. I mean, I'm just saying, hypothetically, if I don't know how you make it so stressful for them that they just don't come through here. I don't. I have some ideas. They're not radio friendly.
These aren't, and here's the thing: these aren't the asylum seekers. These are actual illegal immigrants breaking our laws to get into this country. And we're going to hand them over to the Department of Homeland Security, and then they'll be released into the country on their own recognizance. Expect with a promise to appear letter at some point.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
I mean, if the news went out every other day for about a week, just throwing this out there. This morning in Victoria, 7 Texas trespassers were shot dead as they tried to flee law enforcement. After about a week, they'd probably go through Goliad. Let Roy Boyd have them.
Here's the problem, and I mean, you have ranchers down along the border that won't do that because they know they'll end up dead because the cartel will come after them.
That's true. That's very true. So you can't defend your land because if you do, the cartel will come over and shoot you.
No. So they're left to leaving water and supplies for these folks.
Well, and here's the problem:
lost their land and wreck their fences and ruin their cattle industry and everything.
The state of Texas and the Biden administration have done nothing to support those people. Let's say you had 1,000 acres down there and you're raising cattle down in, outside Laredo. Well, you can't. And people come across and they kill and butcher and eat your meat on the ranch. They build a fire. They catch your ranch land on fire. You can't do anything about it because the cartel will take retribution on you. Texas Rangers, nowhere to be found. Joe Biden's border administration, nowhere to be found. Kamala Harris laughing about it in D.C. It's not a crisis. At the end of the day, you got nothing.
Yeah, Greg Garcia says we're having bailouts just about every day, and Sleepy Joe says there's no border crisis. Yeah, I mean, I don't recall the frequency, and maybe maybe I need the statistics to see if I'm right or wrong on this. I do not recall this frequency pre January 6th.
No, there's no doubt.
From about 2016 to 2020.
Decline.
Nothing.
No doubt about it. Scott Tonka just says 11 were captured. Let's take a quick break.
That's 20 in the last 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel versus I've got 20 for gas. No kidding, Daniel. I'd go with you. Let's start with the law office of Steve Kidder. I saw Steven yesterday. He had a busy day at court, and said to tell everybody hi. And that if he said
he didn't say it.
He did. He said, "Tell your listeners I said hi, and if they need quality legal representation, I'll help them find somebody." That's what he said. He actually said that if you have a civil matter, criminal matter, you want advice on a will, a contract, divorce, and adoption, reach out to the law offices of Steve Kidder. He is a general services attorney. He can help you with everything from contracts to in-court representation. Reach out to the law offices of Steve Kidder. Dana Moore de la Garza, your one-stop planning shop.
652-9157 for all your needs for post-life.
Yeah, funeral, where to be entombed, where to be buried.
Wake, or just a remembrance ceremony.
Wake and Carter. It's got a ring to it.
You want to have a national day of giving thanks?
Praying for our leaders, praying for the government.
You could do that.
You can do that with Dana Moore de la Garza. 652-9157. Motto Mortgage, Terry Murray, local girl, local lady.
Local expert.
Been doing this a long time, knows a lot.
Yeah, she knows her stuff.
She'll help you with any type of mortgage, reverse mortgages, cash out, refis, all that stuff, all that lingo. She can help you lower the payment and lower the term of your current mortgage with a better interest rate. Wind Services, generator, solar panels, electrical, plumbing. Reach out to Wind Services for all your general needs. Call Wind Services if you're ready for a whole house generator for the storm season that is upon us. Or if you want to put some solar panels on the roof, take advantage of the endless sun we're about to have due to climate change. Reach out to Wind. USA Concrete Coatings, 578-HOME. Garage floors, porches, patios,
sidewalks,
pool decks,
driveways.
They can do it all.
Yes, sir.
And the Gray Barn, 920-6803. Cheryl will come out and make your next party memorable. I've been to several Cheryl events, and they're all fantastic.
And they never look the same.
They do not look the same. They're all fantastically decorated. So sometimes you go places and the decorations seem to like overpower the event. Cheryl complements the event. It's a true gift to be able to walk in and have her set like a patriotic theme,
but not be over the top.
And it's not. People aren't like giving speeches based on the accoutrement.
Yeah,
there you go. So, be a pretty good time. Like if we had maybe a guest come in or something.
Maybe,
How do you feel? Let's make a call out to the green,
to the green room,
to the bully. Oh, real quick before we do that, or while we're doing that, Astros yesterday in an afternoon game, the Astros really put it to Garrett Cole. You'll recall Garrett Cole was the Astros ace who was just so great. It's just great.
Yeah.
And he went to the Yankees because they gave him pick a number, $300 million a year or something stupid.
Almost Albert Pujols money.
Yeah. By the way, we'll get to that.
Astros win 7-4. They salvaged one of the
Yordan Alvarez. Astros are trailing early, and Alvarez hits 2 bombs to make it 3-2. And then later on, I think maybe Brantley Altuve hit one also. Oh, and Maldonado hit one too. See, Maldi, that's how you do it. Zoom low.
That's how you do it.
Zoom low, Zumbo. It's not Doug.
Doug.
What'd y'all call him? Doug. That's just dumb.
What do you think of the Pro Football Hall of Fame starting a program to help football players with behavioral health issues? I think for the mental health side of it, maybe post-career, probably a good move. I don't think it's early intervention enough for the players coming in who have issues. And take Aaron Hernandez. for example.
It was a great example you gave yesterday.
Here's a guy, grew up, good football talent, played at the University of Miami, drafted, played for the Patriots, still can't leave the gang life behind. He needs a moral and values intervention when he's about 8 years old.
Yeah. That's when the government should take him and take him from his parents, right? And then he could be raised right by the government.
Yeah, sure.
That's what the Biden administration wants. I think that it always comes back to, it's so simple, folks. It all comes back to the American family. A kid like Hernandez obviously got lost in the shuffle. But the NFL, I think personally, this is kind of whatever you say, putting icing on a pig, whatever it's
Lipstick on a pig.
There you go. Thanks. Yeah,
Icing on a turd.
right. Exactly. Calling it a donut. Yeah, I think that what they're doing here is you got a bunch of grown men. They're all alpha males. They're all prima donnas, and they've all been coddled for years and years and years. And all of a sudden, then you give them a bunch of money, and
nobody ever tells them no, and they can walk into a club without having to stand in line,
and they can smack their wife in the face. And now the NFL is saying, "Well, we'll do something to make." It's kind of like when they decided we're going to look at this helmet issue after 900, CTE.
Yeah. But I applaud the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the former players for wanting to take care of the current players. I just don't know that this program does enough to stop the problems of the spousal abuse, the violence that pro football players tend to be involved in off the field. That's all I'm saying on that.
I agree with you 100%. And that, folks, that means we're right. We're looking at it from different sides, and we both agree it means that we are correct. Interesting that yesterday, this is big. Albert Pujols,
arguably the best player.
I was around
Jeter, Pujols, maybe.
Pujols better than Jeter. I said it. Dude played. Dude had 10,000 at bats.
3,200 hits, somewhere in there.
3,253 hits, 1,800 RBIs. It's just ridiculous. Lifetime 298 hitter.
It's pretty impressive. Every 2 at bats, you're driving in a run.
And he had a lifetime 298 average. And
how many home runs in his career? He's up over 6, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 5th all time. I think he's got like 690 something. Let's see, 667 home runs. I mean, impressive. Arguably the greatest. Many, when I was a kid, said he was the greatest. At Babe Ruth. Willie Mays, the greatest player ever, 660. Pujols just hit a very quiet 667 dingers. Lifetime 298 average.
Yeah, pretty good.
Phenomenal.
Released yesterday by the Anaheim Angels of Southern California, Los Angeles, Chaz Chop Zone, whatever they call themselves nowadays. But you brought up a good point right before the show that the Astros should sign him.
Yeah, because nobody hit more home runs at Minute Maid Park than Albert Pujols.
Yeah. I mean, what's it going to hurt? Because you could probably continue to convince the Angels of LA, Anaheim, Chaz Chop, Southern Cal to continue to pick up most of his salary since they're doing it anyway. But
I'm trying to figure out, just give you an idea here. The great one, Willie Mays, who played 22 seasons, can't be many fewer than Pujols, had 12,000 at-bats and had 3,187 hits with his 660 home runs. So Pujols.
Yeah, but to track down a lot of fly balls.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Willie Mays also deal with a pitching mound that was 6 inches higher.
Willie Mays was unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. Pujols one of the greatest ever. Pedro Strauss says when the Angels signed him, it ruined them for a long time because of the big contract. Yeah, they never could quite get it together. They were a contender when they first signed him. Now they've got to try to rebuild around Mike Trout, or do you just find a way to get rid of Trout and get the pieces you would need to start a complete rebuild? Because the Angels they're further away than they are closer to.
They are, and I wouldn't want to be the general manager that traded Mike Trout. Let's do this. Michael Cloud, I think, has found the celebrity hot tub in there. Let me take our last break, and that way we can visit with
Michael Cloud uninterrupted. I will go bring him in while you do that.
Okay, do that. Folks, since 1926, the Atzenhofer dealership quite simply is Victoria's dealership, period. You need a brand new Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi. You need a gently pre-owned vehicle. You need paint and body shop. If you need a general service, they service all makes and models. They will inspect your vehicle, and you'll be thrilled with the outcome you get at Atzenhofer. I still call it Atzenhofer Chevrolet, but the home of Tommy Taylor. They're stacking them deep, selling them cheap, selling cars like candy bars right down the road from higher prices, right there on the Navarro Motor Mile.
You got all appreciate you.
Yeah, that's all of it from Tommy Taylor. White Trash Services, 550-1826. BJ says, Scott Nelson, no more. No more this week, I tell you. 550-1826. Reach out to the Nelson family. They'll take care of yours. Whether you need a roll-off dumpster at a job site, you're building a new home, you need weekly trash service in the 7-county region, Holiday Beach, Rockport, Lavernia, Southeast San Antonio, they're there for you. White Trash Services. Complete 360 and the Health Bar right here on Red River. The Health Bar is a phenomenal place. Paninis. They're open now, by the way. Yeah, they open at 7. Paninis, wraps. Get over to the Health Bar. Or if you're on the north side, right next to Buffalo Wild Wings, you can get a smoothie, supplements, good supplement advice. Congressman Cloud's in the office here. He's looking awful buff. I think he's working out in the congressional weight room. The weight room vacated by Joe Biden, who no longer goes. Works out in the Rose Garden. Walks around naming the flowers. Glad to have the congressman here as always, as Ash fumbles around with our gear. Goodbye there. And last but certainly not least, I won't blame him as being our technical advisor, given the way Ash is fumbling around over there. JP Hull and the great folks at Razor IT Solutions. JP can help you with your analytics, all the details of your Michael Cloud promoting Maker's Mark. Mixed nuts. There you go. Just throw that away. I think it's a drawing. You may have won something. Very pleased to recommend JP Hull and the folks at Razor IT Solutions. And with that, we this segment brought to you by Razor IT Solutions. Good morning, Congressman Michael Cloud. Welcome home, sir.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Doing all right. Doing well.
Travel's been a lot of it, or you've kind of settled into routine now?
We've been our routine is to travel a lot. We're not in Washington, so today we'll go to the farm after this. Yesterday we were up in Bastrop County, had some meetings there. Took part kind of impromptu in a National Day of Prayer event. We went to go grab a quick bite between meetings actually, and stumbled upon National Day of Prayer. It's always refreshing to see citizens get involved and how important prayer's been in our national repertoire throughout history.
How disappointing was it to yesterday, for the first time in 70 years, have a president that didn't reference God on the National Day of Prayer?
Well, yeah,
Did he even know it was the National Day of Prayer? I don't know.
We have prayers that we don't know who we're praying to. We
Right.
have a infrastructure bill that's not about infrastructure, a COVID bill that's not about COVID, a border czar that hasn't gone to the border.
A relief plan that provides no relief.
A relief plan that provides it, yes.
It's the hypocrisy of the American left.
And yes, a jobs plan that doesn't put people to work. It's just,
You're different than most of our elected officials in that, to me, honestly, you're not a politician. That certainly, it's meant to be a compliment, but I will give you a hint on something. If you're going to go to a farm, make sure somebody takes some pictures. That's a photo op, right? Yeah, I mean, it's like, and here's the congressman hobnobbing with a local farmer. That's Michael leaning against the 2021 F-250 with lightened carbon footprint. Yeah.
pro tips.
Right. Exactly. I got you. Yeah, you need political advice from me. I mean, you've been elected, 14 times now in 3 years, and I couldn't win a mayor's race.
And when you're
Not
petting,
enough photos.
no.
I didn't have enough farmers. That's what they say. Just put Cloud back on the ballot. We'll just run him through there again.
And when you're petting the animals, make sure the video is rolling because that'll go viral faster than any other video.
Lean down, sniff the goat right behind his ear. It's Joe Biden.
That's not Joe Biden.
Joe Biden at the Muslim prom. Okay. So we move on with the congressman. You had great questions for him. You told me I'm going to hit him hard on
I
this
am going to
thing.
hit him hard. Now
You know
I lost my
softballs.
question. Try to find him.
Well,
here.
how can anybody be against something called the Peace Act? I mean, how could you be against that?
Well, we're really excited about that. We're looking to introduce that bill this week. We've been working on it for quite some time now. But
This is your bill,
this
correct?
is our bill. We've
Yep.
been working on it for some time. The Constitution provides, of course, that the war-making authority is with Congress. You know, we should not go to war without Congress declaring war. Yet we find ourselves in armed conflicts that we've been in. While many members of Congress were in elementary school when they started. So Congress hasn't weighed in on these things. Also, the Constitution provides that the standing army of the United States should not be funded for more than 2 years. And so what we find ourselves in, though, is that we find ourselves in these unending conflicts. So
Yes, sir.
we go to war after it, and then we don't ever reevaluate our purpose, our point of being there. We're doing things that have kind of stretched the limits of past authorizations of use of military force. And so the idea is, we've talked about a sunset commission I've introduced in the past. The idea is very similar, but related to military conflicts. In fact, and peace stands for preventing endless armed conflicts and engagements. Okay.
I like
Yeah, I
it.
think you got it right. I found my notes.
I like the idea of there's times that decisive action has to be taken. I can think even having some admiration maybe once for something Barack Obama did where they decided to strike somebody in a timely manner. I know that President Trump, I thought, did yeoman's work taking out, help me with the name,
Soleimani.
and was that you don't have time to run that up the flagpole to Congress.
Exactly. And this does not take away the president's authority to protect Americans and to strike on important things like that. But when we're going to when we're going to send our young men and women into foreign countries, they're going to be there for some time. Congress should be able to review that. And so the idea is that, we've had a number of Congresses pass without really any sort of review or input. So in the same way that, I talked about the Sunset Commission, we need to review agencies. The agencies go on
Forever. Yeah.
And never get evaluated. Are they accomplishing their purposes? Those kind of things. It's the same sort of idea. It's about bringing good governance. So
Jeff Fonseca says if it was the Peace Act, P-I-E-C-E, then Joe Biden would be all over it. So how about this? Do you for the extreme novice in me, my C-SPAN vision, are you going to be the guy standing there presenting this to Congress? I mean, I know it's just another day at work for you, but it's kind of a big deal to us.
Oh, well, the first that they have a hopper. It's a box, down on
The hopper.
The hopper. So we'll have to go down there, drop it in the hopper. We'll get a bill number.
At this point, it's just a bill, right? Okay, I'm with you.
Right, yeah. I can't get those notes like you can.
Thank you, sir.
But we'll bring the bill down, get it introduced, and then work with getting co-sponsors on it and begin the work on garnering the support around it. And again, the idea is that each Congress should be able to review the AUMFs that are in process, decide what we're going to do with it. And so it would require the Pentagon to present a report to Congress. Here's how things are going. Here's what we think needs to happen. Congress would get to weigh in on it and decide whether to continue or to stop this military.
Would it be engagements? So let's say, would there be like a formal declaration of war where, it's not just we're sending troops to advise in Afghanistan, but you'd have Congress has declared that we are having a long-term committed military action in the Middle East. And then Congress could review that and say, Congress has decided to end that and bring it back.
Right. Right now, there's like So we're operating in a couple of AUMS related to the war and terror. We have people in Afghanistan, and I'm not even debating those issues at this moment with this bill. This bill doesn't address past actions. It tries to set us on a right path going forward,
Yeah.
so that future AUMS, future authorizations for use of military force would have an automatic sunset to them, that Congress would have to review them and reauthorize them. Sending our men and women abroad is one of the most important things that we can do. And when we do, we need to make sure we have the strongest military, the greatest tools in the world.
And we're not stuck in Afghanistan and in another Afghanistan for 20 plus years with no outcome.
We want to send them in there with a clear mission, everything they need to declare victory, get in there, declare victory, and then bring them home.
How, sort of related, but how do we get to a point in this country where our media celebrates Joe Biden's announcement to withdraw troops later than President Trump's initial, and yet he's celebrated for ending a war, but he's extended the war? How do we get to that point in this country?
Dealing with media and media distortion on stories it's one of the tragic things we're at right now, because when I go around and I talk to people about what's really happening, so much of what happens is we lose the context that we're in. China is becoming a very real threat. We work tabletop war games now, and we don't win all those war games anymore. When the Pentagon's tabletopping those, China has more Navy ships than we do right now. Now ours are more advanced, and so I'm not.
That can float.
Right.
I'm not. But they are making headways. They're making investments. They're in for the long haul. While a lot of times what we're caught up in as a nation is these political. I don't want to say they're small, because some of them are very important, some of them are not. But we're losing the context of what are the real threats to our nation.
China.
It is
20 years from now, what's really going to matter?
It is interesting that China theoretically could attack or engage in a military action with the United States. And it's just picture two people out in the desert. One makes things and trades it for water. The other one has water. For China to attack us is to attack their by far biggest customer. I mean, I don't understand the logic that they would ever utilize to say, we made the whole world communist and now we're all starving together to death.
Right. Well, they are attacking us. They're just not doing it collaterally.
Correct.
They are working right now. I mean, when we're talking about, we spent $1.9 trillion on a COVID relief bill that wasn't COVID. We're looking at $2 to $4 trillion on infrastructure that's not infrastructure. Meanwhile, they are working to undermine our reserve. One of the U.S.'s reserve currency across the world. So they are attacking us basically on every front possible, except collaterally.
And behind some of these ransomware attacks that have held governments and local entities hostage, for their IT infrastructure, they've been behind a lot of those.
Right. So they are a very real threat. What they're doing in space, what they're doing in rare earth minerals, rounding that up, what they're doing with cyber, with the race of artificial intelligence.
5G.
One of the things we deal with on the Ag Committee that I'm on is stealing seed technology. So
Right.
they're trying to undermine our advancement when it comes to that. So,
Well, they've done that with all intellectual property. I mean, seeds is just the next one, right?
Right.
Or one of the next ones. Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise. And then we catch wind. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but this Chinese rocket is just going to fall someplace to Earth this weekend, supposedly. I mean, we joked a little bit that this was probably by design, that this will fall somewhere and inflict damage on somebody, because you can't trust anything that comes out of the Chinese Communist Party.
They, and I've said this before, but this is the big difference between when we were dealing with the Soviet Union. With the Soviet Union, they were at least honest about their intention, not about every discussion we had with them. I'm not saying, I'm not holding them up as angels or anything.
They were out to get us in the middle.
Yeah, we were the big bad enemy, and you knew it.
Yeah, well, we knew they were adversaries. They knew we were adversaries, and the Communist China Party has not been that. They taken the handshakes, they smiled us in the face, they've taken the aid, they've done all this work, meanwhile working to undermine us.
Absolutely. And all you have to do is look at the stories of spies sleeping with people in government, spy rings being busted throughout this country. Yeah, so.
Couple of questions here.
Yeah.
Torn Bales asks, when do you think the moderate Democrat will at some point put country over party and say, hey, folks, we're just going the wrong direction here?
That's a question, honestly, I get quite a bit, because you like to think there's 4 or 5 out there who realize the march that we're on right now, and how dangerous it is. I talk to immigrants all the time from different countries they see the signs in a way that a lot of us who've been raised here don't, and are very concerned.
Well, because so many have been indoctrinated that Marxism and and communism is the way to go. And these people have fled Marxism and communism.
They've seen the effects firsthand. They've loved the effects firsthand. They've had those the effects of it on their families. They've seen jobs lost, family dreams destroyed, all those different kinds of things. So they're very concerned about it. You like to think we get 4 or 5 those on board with saying that. We've seen some action when it comes to the border crisis about those stepping up. But really, what's controlling the left right now is the extreme wing, and to the point that those kind of moderates end up getting primary. Anyone who dares to challenge. It's the cancel culture, but it's even within the left.
Yeah. No, they're starting to eat their own. You saw the backlash on Justin Bieber 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago because he was wearing dreadlocks.
You're hitting it right there. That's one of Michael's
I know.
favorites.
I actually missed that story.
Yeah.
You
I
can't,
apologize.
you can't use Congressman Cloud and Michael Bieber in the same, Justin Bieber in the same,
No, it's Justin.
no, it's just, they're in the same sentence. You can't do that. Caleb Shaw asked, what's the point of all the troops that are still entrenched in our capital? And how long is that going to go on?
I don't know how long it's going to go on. It's not really necessary.
Would that fall under the Peace Act?
Take your National Guardsmen home, right?
I don't think they're actually operating under an authorization for the military force.
Abbott brought our guys home, right?
Yeah, Abbott brought our guys home. There's still, taking the razor wire down, but there still is a wall on Capitol. They brought it in, but what's really tragic about that is that's the people's house. It's not our house as congressional people. It's the people's house, and they have a right. People have a right to come and redress their grievances.
Yeah.
They have a right to come and tell us what they think about bills, and we have prohibited that ability to do that. It's a First Amendment issue.
It's fundamental to our republic.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
You can have that one. You can have that one. Say that to the farmer. Look, it works in all situations. Put your arm around the farmer. Fundamental to our republic. Farmers, see, it works. It works everywhere.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's a pearl. Sure you are.
Getting back to your Peace Act, because I think this is a piece of legislation that I like. I think it's, yeah, thank you. I think it's necessary, but a point, about 1/5 of current Congress members have never voted on any authorization. And I can't imagine it's because there's been that much turnover in Congress, because we know most of them have been there for their whole lives. That means we're taking a whole lot of authorization and action without going through the proper steps. Is that the way I should be looking at that number?
Well, a lot of it's like many of the programs we talk about when we talk about citizen fusion. We have a use of military force. We went after terror. Now, 20 years later, that could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so that target can do. But really the point is if we're going to be deploying our forces, Congress, it's one of the big issues right now is just the authority structure in our government is completely messed up. The Congress has ceded much of its authority to the executive branch, the judicial branch, and also the congressional. Congress has given its authority to the judicial branch as well. And so this is about resetting the proper role of government and bringing back good governance, good structure to government. It doesn't weigh in on on any of the issues as to whether we should be there or should not. It just says that Congress should be reviewing these sort of things if we're going to continue, and it puts in a provision where we don't just automatically continue these wars for decade after decade after decade.
I think that's awesome. It's interesting to me that we've now elevated or altered the perceived role of the Supreme Court. You've got the executive branch, and you've got the legislative branch, and you've got the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was never designed to be a governing body. Simply the referees. They're the referees between the states and the feds, and they're the referees between the legislative branch and the executive branch. They are there to, unbiased, according only to the Constitution and the law, determine if things are going according to the Constitution. It seems like now they've become more de facto legislators, and many of whom are in no way qualified to do so. Better question for you.
Nor elected to do so.
Well, we have district judges too that make nationwide injunctions.
Why don't we just ignore those? So you get in an elevator and on comes Kamala Harris. You've got 30 seconds. What do you tell her when she says, Michael, how are things at the Texas border? What do you tell her?
Pull out a map first, so I'm sure where it is.
Right, because she doesn't know where it is.
And what's going on at the Texas border here recently in Victoria County, our Victoria County deputies arrested a known human smuggler who, once they got looking into the data and stuff, had known ties to MS-13 and ISIS. So they handed it over to the federal authorities after hearing that individual got released in the Corpus Christi area. So
in the United States, got released in the United States.
This is our backyard. And so we see.
This is your district.
Yeah,
we see crime going up in our communities across the district. Car robberies is a big thing right now. So while you're driving, the whole idea that these ranchers leave their cars in the truck.
Yep.
We have again ranchers, farmers concerned to let their own wives, kids, themselves walk the property without being armed now because you never know what you're going to stumble upon. Fences being thrown out all the time. So there's farmers who already have pretty thin margins paying under $200,000 a year to race to fix fences.
And that's just to keep the cattle in that didn't get out and they have no idea where they are.
Yeah, and the tragic human toll along we've talked endlessly about what's going on with cartels. It's what was going on with if a nation state was doing what cartels are doing to our nation, we consider it an act of war.
Absolutely.
And it's time we begin to take that very, very seriously.
Why won't our government stand up to the cartels? I mean, we've surmised a little bit some of this money is going all the way to Wall Street and the banks because they've got to launder it somewhere. And those banks are then in the back pockets of many of the legislators. I mean, is that why? Or a reason?
I think one of the first reasons why we see little action from the administration is just because they think it's politically advantageous, I guess, in the long-term plan. And that's really disappointing that the border security is something that in the past we haven't united on, and it has been a bipartisan issue, and again, maybe different nuanced flavors of it, but building border infrastructure, a wall or a fence or whatever we want to call it, the roads and the technology, that's been a bipartisan issue. Obama was building walls.
Does it trouble you, Ash, that Michael's changing his last name from Cloud to Colombo? I don't know. I'm not saying he's in line with the. So here's another thing for you. As just an American, and especially as a Texan, I was beyond appalled at the treatment that Senator Ted Cruz received at the migrant facility by the little lackey 25-year-old hourly employee who was saying, please turn your phone off, respect their privacy, a sitting United States senator goes down and tours a migrant facility on Texas soil in his state and is basically told to stand down by a child. I have a problem with this. I would have, if it would have been me, I'd have gone, excuse me, do you know who I am? And I would have had her removed from my sight.
Yeah, we'll be headed down there again in the beginning of June. We're taking a few more reps works with us down there. Something we haven't been before, so we're looking forward to that trip. But you know, when you do go, you have to talk to the official channels and you have to talk to the unofficial.
You
channels.
are the official channel.
Well, right, but the border patrols are the customs officers, and you go to the facilities, they're under a gag order, a lot of them, and so they feel very restrained in what they can tell you. So we go through that, we visit facilities, we do all those kind of things, but we also meet off the clock with agents, tour the border, and go down to the river at night, follow the tracks, and do all those kind of things to get the real story of what's going on. It's devastating.
Adam Sugar is asking a question in a roundabout way without asking. So I'm gonna paraphrase, cut through his mumbo jumbo and ask the question. What are we doing on the illegal employment side of the illegal immigrants to battle this as well? Because that's part of it. They know they can come here and get a job. It's going to be a better life than they're leaving behind. And the two-part question: what are we doing to battle the employers in this country who hire illegal immigrants to work illegally, knowingly do so? And then second, what are we doing, and where's the accountability for all the aid that we send to these countries to supposedly improve their quality of life, but they're fleeing it because there's been no improvement? So, I mean, it's more than just a border security issue.
Well, of course, when if you have like Venezuela, corrupt administration,
Yeah.
you think, okay, there's this messed up formula that people have in Congress that good intentions plus a lot of money equals compassion, and it doesn't work that way. Compassion is having the due diligence to make sure you're actually accomplishing the objectives meant to accomplish. That you're not working with these or funding corruption in different countries. And so many times when we send foreign aid, it ends up in the hands of the wrong people and is used to actually thwart the objectives of what the money was sent there to do. But immigration and border security, while related, are two different issues, and we do need to work on the E-Verify. It's still working to get that passed, but right now, of Commerce, there's not a lot of will to get that done. But it would be a huge thing. It'd be very simply, and most people in the U.S. support it, and they understand. We should probably check and make sure you're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
You're gonna,
Right.
It is a real simple way to solve these kind of things. We do have to look at it at both issues. We have to do everything we can to look at the magnet. In one recent trip to the border, one of the things that was interesting, we met the DEA and was talking to them about the efforts of what they're doing to stop money going down. And that's something I think that we could look into a little more and maybe emphasize even more, because what happens, of course, people come here and then whether they're cartels sending money back to cartels or people sending money back to families, that's a piece of the false incentive, I guess is what we should say. We want to incentivize a legal process that's fair, that's streamlined, that helps
America. Yeah,
right. But that's not what's happening at all.
absolutely not. Peter Rinaldi had a question when we were talking a little bit on the relief bill or the infrastructure bill. How much of that money is going to the infrastructure? I've heard anywhere from 9% to 5% of it actually gets to infrastructure, and then they're redefining infrastructure.
It's still
So
taking shape and discussions are still happening, so we don't have hard, fast numbers on that. And that's probably why you're seeing kind of a varying degree. But basically, we've taken a word out of the Constitution, infrastructure, and we'll just call it everything infrastructure.
Yeah,
right. And suddenly it expands what supposedly we're able to do. That's obviously not what the Constitution's for. The limits that were placed on the federal government are pretty clear in the Constitution. And beyond that, just how much money we're spending is devastating to families. And every time you spend trillions of dollars, the money you have the dollars you have in your pocket just got less. The savings that you've worked your life to save up for means less.
well, we're starting to hear comments from various members of the feds around the country about, I mean, they're using the I word, inflation. We didn't hear that word for 4 years under Donald Trump.
Yeah.
They kept interest rates low. Now
We heard the other I word, impeachment.
Yeah, no, that was the one. How concerned are you about inflation?
extremely concerned about it. You talk to a number of contractors who are trying to do construction now, and many of them won't bid a project beyond a week now because the prices fluctuate so much.
Wow.
So there's very little stability in the market right now. And troubling on top of that is, a year and a half ago, you had said, what's the one thing you hear everywhere you go? Everywhere I go, we couldn't find people. Now, everywhere I go, they can't find people, but for two different reasons. Before, we had very low unemployment.
Yeah, we had more people looking for jobs than jobs.
Yeah. We had, wages were going up because we had more jobs, but the economy was growing faster than we had people available to fill it. Now we're paying people to stay home and not go to work, and what that does to the human soul too is a whole different discussion. But it's devastating because we're built for a purpose. We're created to live and to thrive
And survive, yeah.
Yeah. So, but from an economic standpoint, we have an economy that's trying to come back. Business is ready to go back, but they just can't find people to fill the slots.
Yes, sir. You kind of just boldly, I guess when you have a United States congressman on the show, it's okay to go over. The Hall of Famer, Ralph Salazar, is chomping at the bit to play America's Tejano Favorites, which, usurps Congress. We may want to think about wrapping up our show.
Probably need to. Congressman, we appreciate it. This conversation could probably go on for an hour.
Photos, fundamental to the Republic. Photos, fundamental to the Republic.
Video when animals are around, because a miscue with the animal will go viral and do more for your popularity than anything else.
It's like you can hear it right. Is this when the sheep hit? Is this when the goat hits him? No, wait for it. Look at the goat put his head down and ran into Michael's knee. Yeah, no video. Still photos only. Fundamental to the Republic.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I got your back.
Roll the soundtrack.
Right, exactly. It would be something if over time, like when he talks, the Peace Act is fundamental to the Republic, and then later on he's with a farmer. I want you to know that farming is fundamental to the Republic. It just gives a bunch of highlights. I don't remember where you were, and you're not going to remember either, but I'm giving you an attaboy for this. You were somewhere, and someone mentioned us and said they enjoyed hearing you on our show. They told me, I told Michael that I love hearing him on your show, and he said, I like those guys. I like to go on their show. So we appreciate you very much and your time and your sense of humor. The governing is hard work, and we know that you struggle every day to do what's right for us in DC and in your district, and it means the world to us. But we like to have fun with you and show, if all we do is show this area that there's a human being. He's not voter number 426. He's a human being, and he's a solid individual. I think we've done our job. So we appreciate you very much and wish you well as you continue to battle for us.
And continue to represent our district well.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
I thought you were going to go all Chris Farley. Remember that skit where he used to sit there and go, remember that time when you did that thing? That was awesome. That's what I thought.
No, that's Joe Biden talking. Have you heard Dana Carvey do his impersonation of Joe Biden? There's three things, people. One, that's the one thing. That's the number one. Two, that two thing. Come on. Three, God bless America. You know the words. You know it. We can do better. We can. Right. Say your prayers for the Republic. Yeah, he said we can do better. Come on, we can. We've done it. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
Speaking of which, we'll do it again on Monday.
All right. See you.